Hello, English 111 folks, and welcome to the final stretch of week 7. You should have gotten some information in the Monday message to kind of get you prepped and ready for the last couple of weeks of I guess the summer term. So you're getting toward the end. All right, so this week is going to change gears yet again because we are in a very short 9-week session, and so we go very fast. So first thing that you want to become familiar with is the collaborative research project. And so if you didn't get a chance to look at it last week, that's okay. But this is where the rubber is going to hit the road with all of the skills that we've been developing with the narrative work and then the rhetoric. So right here, you're going to notice that you've got a collaborative research project here, right? So the first thing that I think when I see collaborative is I see, okay, that means that you're working with other people. And so we've been warming this up over the last few weeks to kind of get you to work with peers. And so this is a place for you to start developing those skills and honing in on research and synthesis, but working with other people to kind of like condense the workload and process through it a little bit more piecemeal. So right here, you're going to see that you've got your project objectives. Now in the project objectives, you've got looking at the scientific method. And so you're going to explore the resources there on the scientific method. And you're going to use scholarly sources and MLA formatting to focus in on a very specific thesis driven scientific approach. And you're going to work with your peers asynchronously. And so you're going to have discussion pods or like sections that are already set up on Moodle. And so your names are already in there. And so that is your collaboration space where you get to talk to one another. You can also exchange phone numbers, do group text, whatever works to communicate and share the workload. But the way that it's going to be structured, you should be in about a pod of about 3 to 4. And so I would say like using a Google Doc is a really good place to kind of start with like a work collaborative document. And you can kind of delegate leadership and different components of the research project that way. So the first section here you're going to see is scientific inquiry questions. And so in the scientific inquiry questions, you're going to choose a topic that requires scientific methods or reasoning. And your group must develop observation, the question, the hypothesis, the testing and the research and the conclusion. And so this is the scientific method right here as a reference point. And so when you're putting your writing together, you should have it come to about 4 to 5 pages long with a clear thesis, intro, conclusion, high academic tone, elevated diction, applying the concepts that you've been working on in English 0, 1, 1 if you've been in that class. And if you've not been in that class, then just like the writing as you have developed and accelerated in this course. So it needs to meet all the requirements of MLA formatting. And then also the research requirements are to use scholarly sources with your group database. And so there are different tasks that are kind of broken down and what I suggest like your tasks should be. And then you have different assignments and check-ins every week to kind of see how the development is going of what you've been working with and then how you're reflecting on your work and the collaboration with all of your group mates. And then after the fact, you're going to do a self-evaluation and also a peer evaluation to make sure that there's fairness across all group members. So you've got your rubric here. And so please make sure that you reach out if you have any questions about the rubric. It's pretty straightforward based on what we just talked about. Okay, so switching over. Okay, so now to kind of, before I bore you to death here, I've got some reading assignments here. They seem like a lot, and so you don't necessarily have to read all of them at length, but they are references that you should take into account as you're researching and developing your collaborative research project. So you also have your how to research, which is some like step-by-step instructions on like how you can go through the research process if you don't know where to begin. And then this is how to create a works cited page as you're developing your research piece together. So right here, you'll see that the forums are separated into different groups. So you've been assigned group A, group B, C, or D. And so that is your collaborative space for you to have your conversations and develop your ideas. And then the only assignments that are actually due this week are going to be a writing workshop to practice citations for the research paper, and then also to do a plan and a research question and inquiry plan. You do not have to all turn in a separate plan. You can have one plan for your entire group, but you need to make sure it's labeled very, very clearly so that I know how you're going to collaborate with one another. Okay, so I think that is it for this video. And as we're working through these last couple of weeks and developing these skills, just make sure that you're using your communication tools and that you're dedicating time every day, meeting deadlines. The last couple of weeks will go really quickly. So it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing how you develop these inquiry plans for the end of the term. So happy summer.